Action!
The arena turns slaves into gladiators, then gladiators into free men.
You have something in you. I knew it from the start.
Did you now?
Rage. That rage is your gift.
Paul, Fred, great to be with you. Great to be talking about Gladiator II. Watched it at the premiere. Oh my gosh, it is frickin' epic. And Paul, I want to start with you. Tell me about the first conversations you had with Ridley Scott about this project. What excited you and terrified you the most?
Talking to Ridley when you haven't met him before comes with this kind of latent pressure because you idolize him so much. But he's not somebody who wastes any time. So he kind of puts you at ease straight away because you just get straight into the meat of the conversation. But I spoke with him over Zoom for about half an hour, and that was kind of the extent. I spoke to him then once we started getting closer to filming, that's when we spoke again. But we kind of spoke for half an hour, and then months and months went by before we spoke again. So it's I've never had that relationship with a director before filming, and then once I got to Morocco,
it's a lot of time to think.
It's a lot of time to
about
think.
it.
Yeah,
and what was going through your head?
That bit was probably the hardest time because that's when there's your mind is just full of spiders that are kind of in conversation with each other. But you just kind of have to go to work, you go to the gym, you do all the preparation you can do, and then actually when you start doing your job and you arrive on set, it kind of it's more familiar territory for you. Yeah.
And Fred, playing Emperor Caracalla, the historical basis for this character is wild. It's a wild guy from history. How much did you research, and what went into bringing him to life? What were the key aspects of this character for you?
It's funny because we kept having this experience where I would read the script and I'd be like, this is great, but they're taking a lot of liberties here. And then in the preparation period and the actual research, it's like a lot of the crazier things are the things that are true. It's also true of all the battles in the film. These big, the naval battle, the huge water fight.
Yeah, it all happened.
It happened, and fighting of the animals, all these insane things really happened. And so that engagement with history as a kind of way in was very exciting.
Yeah, and talking about some of those fights, the fight with the baboons will traumatize me for life.
Yeah.
This is about survival! Survive! Hold together, and when it charges, break for the wall.
These fight scenes are not graceful. They're brutal, visceral fights. Tell me what went into the preparation for those, and then in something like that baboon fight, what are you actually seeing? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's Ridley's great gift to actors that he's not somebody who goes to the school of tennis ball acting, thankfully.
Every morning he comes to me and he goes, I'm going to give you the greatest off-camera action you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Meaning it's always happening.
It's always happening. So the baboons, for example, was stuntmen in kind of lycra CGI suits, but they had trained to simulate the movement of baboons. So for me, it was a gift. I just had these incredibly talented individuals to fight against. But yeah, brutal day on set for sure.
And other than that, what was the toughest fight scene?
It was incredibly hot in the Coliseum because it was heat of peak summer in Malta, and there was kind of a 2 to 3 week period where it was fight scene, a lot of it was back to back. So we did about 2 or 3 weeks where I couldn't get enough fluids into me. It was.
So
really
when you're exhausted
Yeah.
in a scene, and you can see your character is just nothing left.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, I also wanted. I think the danger with films like this sometimes is that you see a character totally expend themselves, and then the next scene they're kind of back to, and they're like a spring chicken. And I wanted the impacts that you see Lucius take to be cumulative, and you feel it in the way that he is fighting towards the end of the film, that it's just as Lucius puts it, it's just about survival. It's not about embellishment or anything like that.
He looks buggered.
He is buggered. I can tell you firsthand.
And Fred, you must have been about a baby when the first movie came out. Like, watching it now as an adult, what do you take away from that film and Russell Crowe's performance?
I take away a filmmaker who works at a massive scale, yet cares about people and characters. So he's able to do the most artistic flourishes and these you talk to Ridley and he's inspired by so much of painting and all this kind of visual artistry, but in stories that are incredibly entertaining and are movies made for the cinema. And then the performances in that film are extraordinary because of what all those actors are bringing in, because of his Ridley's appetite for people. I just think it's a kind of juggling of art that is unparalleled.
Yeah. And Paul, you work on After Sun, All of Us Strangers at such an intimate level. Then this huge scale, like a genuine epic blockbuster. How do you get that out of your head, being the face of something like that, and narrow down to what you need to do in the next scene?
I think the thing that I've learned from doing a film on this scale, and the thing that I was nervous about and didn't know if that was going to be the reality, is that the day that I stepped on set for the first time was a huge sense of relief, because I know what it's like to lead an independent film, and I love that territory so much. I didn't know what it was going to be like in this, but once I stepped on set, I was like, oh no, there might be more cameras rolling and there might be more money behind the film, but my job has and will always remain the same. Because ultimately, regardless of whether it's on stage or whether it's in a rehearsal space or whether it's an After Sun or whether it's Gladiator, it's like your job is to create the inner life of these characters and deliver it to an audience. And so thankfully that remains the same in Gladiator II.
Yeah, Paul, Fred, thank you so much, and congratulations on
Thanks
the movie.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And cut!